and today we'll be using a reference photo from, I'll be using this reference photo from an Instagram that I really like. I use his reference photos a lot actually. I'm assuming it's a he. There's really nice Japanese architecture basically, and we all know that Japanese architecture is just a pleasure to draw. So that's what I'm going to be using today. And don't mind the wire, that's just my microphone. Let me just show you some examples of some previous sketches that I've done of, of buildings from this Instagram. For those of you who want architectural inspiration, Japanese, particularly Japanese, I would recommend his Instagram. I can't find it. There was another one I did. Oh, of course I can't find it. Oh yeah, this one. So I'm hoping to do something similar to this style. It's quite relaxing, let's say. And I think something that I want to develop is more of my shading, because I feel like I'm quite, like, if you compare this to this, it's getting better. Obviously the shading of, shadow and stuff, like this is quite, there's not enough shadow and shading in this, but this is getting better, but I want to get slightly better. But I still think this is pretty good. And this is what is known as urban sketching. It is basically sketching from life, but obviously I'm not, this is not life, but urban sketching is still the practice of drawing the world around you. And what I wanted to talk about in today's video is why I like urban sketching, and perhaps why you might like it too. This is always the hardest part, is starting the sketch. The best way to start is just put down a line. So I'm going to put down this line right here. So let's just start. How do I know where to start? I don't know, I just pick a point and start. And the first thing I think you should do is establish both the scale and the perspective. So the lines of this drawing, of this photo are kind of converging to one point. So you can see there's like a line here, there's a line, they're all kind of converging to a vanishing point that's kind of in the distance to the right. So I'm gonna take note of that in my sketch. It would be good if I had a vanishing point, but I don't, so whatever. I could put a vanishing point here, but then I think that's a bit too dramatic. Actually, you know what? Should we try it? Why don't we try it? The good thing about urban sketching is that you can make... Okay, that angle's a bit too much. You can basically just add a bunch of different lines, and it's okay, because it contributes to the overall drawing. That's kind of what the practice of urban sketching is. It's... Oof, I've given this a lot of space. It is just drawing the world around you without being too perfect about it. And that is what I really love about it, because I'm a super perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist without giving the work to be a perfectionist, if that makes sense. So like, I'm a perfectionist, but at the same time I'm really lazy. I mean, you wouldn't think that, because I do a lot of stuff, but I'm ambitious, but actually doing the work is is another story. So this drawing straight off the bat is not going how I've planned it, probably because it's my first time. It's my first time filming. Filming the full process live, let's say. It's quite nerve-wracking, but I hope it will be a good learning lesson regardless of the result. I think the most important thing that I've learned is to just keep going and finish the damn drawing. Angry Miko also says that. He always advocates for finishing your drawings. Okay, this is a thing that I do all the time. I start putting in the details before I've even finished the construction of the drawing. I'm glad I noticed that before I finished the entire thing. Another thing about urban sketching is that it doesn't have to look exactly the same as what you've drawn, because one, you may not have the skill or talent for it, not talent, I'm not going to say talent. You may not have the skill level to draw as well as you want yet, but two, also you're kind of injecting your own personality into the things when you draw, so yeah. It's okay if it doesn't look exactly the same. But kind of going back to an earlier point that I was making, urban sketching, it's all about the lines really. So the more lines you put in, the better the drawing looks. I think I heard someone say that on a caption or something. Well, not heard, but you know what I mean. All right, so we have like 3 doors here and one is kind of concealed. I'm really bad with fitting in all the details. I'm really bad with like scale and proportion and stuff. You know, it's really ironic. Like all the things I should be good at, like drawing architecture, drawing interiors, drawing perspective, all of those things, I am terrible. See, look, it's not, they're not equal. They should be equal in size, but they're not. But I was never one for accuracy. See, this is what I mean about perfection. I'm not a perfectionist. Like, well, I'm not, I am a perfectionist in my head, but I'm not, I'm too lazy to actually execute perfection, you know? So, but I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, it means that I kind of can let go of that idea of perfectionism and kind of do more stuff, which I've kind of been doing with my YouTube videos, my YouTube channel, and also all the other stuff I've been doing, like the podcast and stuff. Like I may have certain ideas of what I want to do. Again, I'm focusing on the details too much. I might have an idea of what I want to do, and then I may not actually execute it. But it's okay. I've realized it's okay because my standard of perfection is like way higher than what anyone ever expects, and that's always been the case actually since I was a kid. The standard that I produce is normally good enough for everyone. So that's not like trying to brag or anything. It's more like I'm saying my expectations are always blown out of proportion. You know, like I'm always thinking I should be going to the moon when I forget that we just live on Earth. If that was enough explanation. Yeah, okay. I feel like this is higher than I expect, but anyways, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this is always the case with art, is that you always think in the beginning that it's not going how you planned it. That is literally always the case. And it's especially the case with digital art for me, because digital art, I don't know, it's something I really, really struggle with, a lot more than physical art, because, I don't know, maybe it's because it's still relatively new to me. I started, I think I started 2019, like, yeah, I mainly started then doing digital art, and it's just, I think also the fact that it's not, oh, we've got a shadow, yeah, so it's a shadow, and then there's this like wooden ledge thing that this billboard is stuck on, not billboard, signboard, whatever. As you can tell, yeah, I'm not a super accurate person. I kind of just add in the details as and when I see them, and then realize, oh, it doesn't really fit in the same way as it does in the photo, but like I said, it's okay. So going back to the digital art thing, I was saying I really struggle with digital art because I think mainly it's because it's not real in a way. It's like it's not physical, it's not tangible. I do feel that physical art in that sense is easier, even though I know there's no Control Z. And having interviewed several artists already, most of them, well, okay, some of them have mentioned Control Z, you know, and like the freedom that it has, but I also think that there is a lot of restriction with too much liberation, if that makes sense. So when you have no limits, as you have in digital art, you know, you can literally do anything. It means that, you know, there's no restrictions, there's nothing stopping you from doing anything, and that means that you have too many possibilities, you have too much freedom, you know. Rules are not necessarily a bad thing. Rules and not rules, but restrictions and limitations. You know, you should limit yourself when you're doing digital art, because otherwise you're gonna go crazy with all the possibilities. And that's, again, why I love urban sketching, because you have a lot of limitations when you're actually on site drawing. I do hope one day I can do a YouTube video where I'm drawing, like actually urban sketching. Probably not a live one, but you know, at least a short one. Because urban sketching, there are so many limitations. Like, you can't obviously take a lot of equipment out, and I'm always a simple person. I don't like taking a lot of stuff with me anyway, because it's like just overwhelming, and also like I need a bigger bag and it's just annoying. But yeah, so there's that, and then there's the location itself. Like, you may have to stand and draw, or maybe it's too hot, maybe it's too cold, maybe it's raining, maybe there's too many people, maybe people are staring at you. Oh, that's another big thing as well. Like, urban sketching really forces you to be more confident in yourself, and like just not care what other people think, which has always been hard for me, because I really care what other people think, unfortunately. I'm always very conscious of other people, so yeah, I think urban sketching has kind of taught me to let go a bit. I remember I was in India once, and we were in the hospital just waiting in the waiting room, and I just sat down and sketched, and I had these kids just hanging over my shoulder, and then their mother came, and then I can't even remember what she said, but yeah, I don't know, she mentioned something about me drawing to her kids, and it's just like, and you know how in India or in Asia, people are just really blatant in their staring. It's just, so, you know, I mean, that, the point being, that's kind of taught me a bit more about just not caring what people think, which is really easy to do in Dubai, because no one cares, trust me. You can do whatever you want in Dubai as long as it's not illegal, and really no one cares. And I love that freedom, because coming from the UK, literally everyone stares at you when you're doing, just, I don't know, people just stare at you. It's like, it's kind of like India, except people try their hardest not to show that they're staring at you. But in India, people don't care if they know that you know that they are staring at you. That was a complicated sentence. Okay, whatever. I've got the basic structure down, that's great. I have no idea how to write Japanese. Obviously I can write the letter forms, but like, I have no idea what that says. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, I know Korean, but I don't know Japanese. I did think of learning it once, because I thought, oh, Japanese is probably a bit more interesting, and not interesting, sorry, it's a bit more useful than Korean, because, you know, a lot of products we buy are Japanese and things like that, but alas, it was just it's just a bit too much pressure, and yeah, it was just not as interesting to me, because I didn't watch any Japanese shows or anything, and I didn't watch anime at that point. I mean, I still don't, but anyway. But they have a great culture, and, you know, it's really interesting and stuff. I think just the hiragana and katakana, there's like 2 different alphabet forms that just put me off. It's kind of like Chinese. Less harder than Chinese, obviously, but still, it was harder than Korean, so I was just like, forget that. Yeah. It's actually quite fun, just talking, because I talk to myself a lot, so it's nice actually being able to record myself talking, so that other people have the absolute pleasure of listening to me talk about absolutely nothing. I've kind of touched on the reasons why I like urban sketching, but I had a whole list. I actually do have an article that I'm going to be posting, but I'm not actually going in order of the list. So yeah, there's a lot of details happening in the background that are kind of hidden by the shadow, and I think I'm going to ignore that, because I don't want the attention to be taken away from this piece. Normally what I'll do is, you know, you can see here there's like a modern building that's kind of right next to this old Japanese style building, so I think that's a really nice contrast to this detailed building, because you can get this nice these straight lines, completely just, you know, very blocky compared to the kind of intricacy of the roofs and the paneling of the wood, the timber facade and stuff. Am I talking architecture speak now? I don't know. But anyway, so contrast. That's the point I'm trying to make. And maybe I'll use my brush pen, or maybe I'll even get my markers out. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see how it goes. But I'm kind of tempted now to start detailing this because my pen is itching to just do some shading. So I'm going to do some shading. We have this nice, really high contrast shadow. What's it called? It's like a hard shadow. So I'm assuming this is at like noon or 1 p.m. or something like that. Very early to slightly mid-afternoon, just because of the shadows and how high they are. But anyway, that's kind of irrelevant. So now this is the relaxing part, you know, when you've got all the structure down and now you're kind of just filling in the gaps, I suppose. I mean, it is quite tedious, and to be honest, when I first started urban sketching, I would have hated doing this because I was like, it would have taken me forever. I would have just scribbled it, but now I kind of appreciate the cleanliness of just putting down really fine lines. I was gonna get 2 cameras to film this, so normally I film on this top camera and then I use a DSLR to get my close-up shots, if you've seen some of my previous videos. But it's, I don't know, it's too much hassle. And because this is a live video, so it's gonna be a bit disturbing if I keep inserting that camera in between shots. So yeah, I should have actually put in the details before I did the shadows, but whatever, it's just... The thing with urban sketching, actually, technically you're supposed to draw what you see in front of you, but again, like I said, I'm the perfectionist who can't be bothered to do the perfectionism, so I'll just kind of start fudging details, and I don't think that's actually a bad thing, as long as the overall thing looks right, and you've kind of given integrity to the overall idea or place that you're sketching. I think it's fine. You know, like small details like what the facade looks like, or kind of the depth of, like, what I'm trying to say is, you know, maybe the wood pattern looks like this, but maybe I draw it a bit different. I think that's fine. Again, as long as the intent is there. I kind of jump from place to place because I get bored easily, so yeah, that's, again, it's really up to you, as long as you get the drawing done. It's kind of like giving a task to someone and just telling them get it done versus telling them do it this way and do it this step by step, and then eventually they don't do it, or they're not able to do it because they can't follow. Anyway, I'm digressing. It's really hard to stick to a script. I mean, I can talk forever, honestly, but actually going in with the intention of talking, of saying certain things, and then not being able to say them because my thoughts go every which way. I'm sure you'll notice that I think of a lot of different things. This is how and why I do so much. It's because my mind is literally just so cluttered, full of random thoughts and tangents, that I'm like, I have to fulfill every single one of these thoughts. I bet no one will even watch this video. To be honest, I'm fine with that. Like, I don't really care. Mainly because I'm telling myself not to care. Because caring about the engagement on your content, especially in your early days, is quite a dangerous thing to do. I've kind of gotten to the point in my Instagram where, you know, before I wanted like tens of thousands of followers, but now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting more than 100 likes on each post, and it's getting too much for me to handle. In terms of, it's not really the likes. Well, the likes are one thing and then the comments are another, because you have to actually respond to comments, right? That's kind of annoying. It's just a lot of pressure. And then when you get like 100+ likes, you're just like, which is a lot for me, even though it's 10% of my following, which is, it's supposed to be like average engagement, from what I know anyway. But anyway, even that is like a lot for me, because for some reason Instagram really does me dirty and does not give me much engagement most of the time. Either that or I'm just doing Instagram wrong. Maybe it's that. But anyway, yeah, so I've realised from my many years, literally many years, since I was 13, I guess, many years on social media, I realised that even though for most of my life on social media, I've always wanted to be famous or wanted more followers, just like any other kid, right? Any other kid in this generation. Now I realise the freedom that you get when you are anonymous. Like, I could literally do whatever I want on my channel and it's fine. But obviously, down the line, if I'm still putting in a lot of effort and no one is there to see it, then it's kind of disheartening. But I'm hoping that we will get to a point where I can make videos that are useful and are relatively easy for me to make. Because I'm a busy girl. Who am I tooting my own horn, seriously? I can't even edit this stuff out, it's annoying. Maybe I should just shut up. So I'm just adding in the details of the roof. Again, this is a very tedious exercise and I'm a very impatient person, so normally I would have, you know, like a couple of years ago, I would have just been like, I hate doing this, but these days, whilst I am still quite impatient doing them, like I don't do it as neatly as I could or should do it, I'm getting better, so progress. So now I'm looking at this drawing again. These are relatively dark, the roofs, but obviously the underneath of the roof, the shadow is a lot darker, so I need to make sure that that reflects in the drawing. These days I'm really conscious of contrast in value, so darks to lights, which is what I was mentioning in the beginning of the video, where I didn't used to do that as much. I was more focused on getting the form right and getting the shape right, which I think is the best way to go about it. Is you should be more focused on getting the shapes and forms right first, and then focus on values and contrast and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's no one way of doing it. Obviously, you can do them all at once, but if you're going about it in a methodical way, or you want to improve one at a time, then yeah. By the way, I didn't even mention what pen I'm using. Oh my goodness. So I'm using, I was supposed to do this in the beginning, but I'm using a, let me see if I can just tap. So I'm using a uni ball pen, 0.05. This is quite common and popular with university students. It's one of the brands that they recommend because it's the cheapest, I suppose, and it's relatively good quality. I'm not a big fan of these pens, but I found that I quite like the 0.05. It's not bad. I think what I don't like about these pens is that they're quite scratchy for me, or at least the ones that I've been using, they've just not been great. But the 0.05, what I like about it is it's the same as most other 0.05s I use, but I think the ink on these Uniball pens are not as strong as, like, let's say Sakura. Maybe I'll show that in another video, but yeah, I mean, this is good for beginners. It's not too expensive. And the reason I'm drawing with such a thin tip is because I used to draw with thicker tips, but then I realized that, especially like, there's this urban sketcher on Instagram called Luke Adam Hawker from the UK, and he draws with really fine tips, and I think he's who inspired me to start drawing with these, because you get in a lot of detail, and the good thing about it is you can get in a lot of lines, which means it looks like you get a lot of detail, but it doesn't overcrowd the drawing because the lines are so thin, and it just looks a lot more elegant than, like, let's say a 0.3 or even 0.1 pen. Like 0.1 is still too thick sometimes. It just depends what kind of look you're going for. Like, there's no right or wrong. It's just about how you want to do it and what you prefer at that point in time. So yeah, the reason I'm doing the strokes vertically is because that's the shortest way to do it. I could have done it horizontally. That would have given another effect. In fact, maybe I'll do it horizontally for this. What you want to do is you want to give contrast. Again, it's all about contrast, right? So if I've done vertical strokes here, then I'm going to do horizontal here because, I mean, there's no reason really. I could have done vertical as well, but I just want to show you guys a different method of doing things. Yeah. What else? What else is on my list of things that I was supposed to tell you about why I love urban sketching? One of the reasons I love urban sketching, and now I'm mainly referring to drawing from real life, is it's a lot more vivid than photos. So no matter how many photos you take, one urban sketch can throw those photos out of the park, out of the water. What's that phrase? I don't know. But you know what I mean. Like it's a lot more memorable because you've sat down and you've actually drawn the details of what's happened or what is happening in front of you or where you've been. So whenever I look through my urban sketching books, my sketchbooks, I literally, every single time I look at any image, any of the sketches I've drawn, it takes me straight back to that memory, and it's a really, really powerful tool. Even if it's a sketch that you are not happy with or that's not super good or you've abandoned it halfway, and there have been many sketches that I've abandoned halfway, it's still the same kind of effect. So yeah, I'm gonna do this kind of, there's like a shadowy side thing, side roof or whatever. So I'm doing long strokes here. Obviously it's quite dark there, so I'm gonna have to do multiple hatches. Maybe I'll do diagonal. I've put off doing this video for days, pretty much. I said I was gonna do it in the morning, and then I woke up late, so then I didn't do it in the morning, and then I had to edit a podcast episode, so then I did that, and then I didn't get time to do it throughout the day, so now I'm doing it in the evening, and now I just regret not doing it after work at some point. Would have just been easier. Okay, so I've shared a couple of reasons why I love urban sketching. Oh, that's nice. It's got a nice middle crosshatch there. Middle crosshatch? Like diagonal crosshatch. Yeah. Alright, maybe I'll do the same thing here. I really hope you can see, because it's top-down view, so it's my hand may just be, probably is just covering it up. But anyway, another good thing about urban sketching, I kind of mentioned it before when I said that I would just draw this bit of the drawing and just forget the rest of the details, is that you can only capture what's important to you. So if there are a bunch of people in the photo or the real life scenario that you're drawing, you can just take all those people out, you know? If you're trying to Photoshop them out, it's a hell of a job. So that's another great thing about urban sketching, is that you can just draw whatever you want. If you want to draw one tree when there's a forest in front of you, then you can do that. If you want to draw ducks in a pond when there is no ducks in the pond, you can do that, you know? That's the great thing about urban sketching. It's just, you can kind of make it your own. I mean, the authenticity of the urban sketch, I don't know if some urban sketchers would think it's not being true to what's in front of you, but again, like I said, I'm not super strict about that. I kind of regret doing this horizontally now. I feel like it's vertical stroke. Just because I think, because it's shorter widthwise than it is lengthwise. Anyway, I'll probably go over it because it's quite dark. I need to give some contrast with the crossbars on the windows. I don't know if it's called a crossbar. Oops. I hope I'm still audible. Oh my god, it's been 30 minutes. Does it take me this long to do a sketch? It takes me about 30 to 40 minutes, but I would have been finished by then. Obviously, I'm not rambling. I'd be rambling in my head, but wouldn't be out loud. So maybe it does take more time. I'm going to speed up a bit. Try and speed up a bit. I can't believe this is nearly an hour. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see what else is on my list of things to talk about. It's a very meditative thing to urban sketch. You kind of get in the zone when you're not talking to a camera. You know, especially when you're outside, and once you've kind of got down the initial lines and you start getting into the flow of the drawing, it's just such a nice experience. You just get into the flow state, and I love getting into the flow state, so that's why I love urban sketching. And it also gives you some screen-free activities to do. I mean, this is kind of screen-free because I'm looking at my sketchbook more than I'm looking at my my phone. But yeah, technically you should look more at the subject that you're drawing, because there's a rule in drawing that says draw once, look twice. So you should always, you know, in order to make an accurate picture, you should just draw. You should look more than you draw, because when you're drawing, as I mentioned before, I said it was okay to make up details, but technically it's not. You should be trying to capture an accurate picture. That is, if you are trying to capture an accurate picture. But if, like me, you're a bit lax on details, then... But you know what I mean, like, the intent, you can tell that this is the same kind of reference, but maybe the details within this thing, like, for example, the lettering, it's not correct and stuff like that. Partially it is due to my laziness, and partially it is just due to me wanting to break the mold a bit. But mainly it's just my laziness. Sad times. Okay, so meditative, what else? I've mentioned the imperfection side of it. And I would say that on that imperfection side of it, the reason I wanted to actually start an urban sketching page is because I started my art Instagram with urban sketching. I actually started it for my architecture degree, but I didn't post much because I didn't really like my architecture work. But anyway, when I first started urban sketching in 2018, I posted that, and then I really, really enjoyed it. And then I posted more stuff, and it got a lot of engagement and traction, and it felt like a lot less pressure when I compare it to my digital art, because the thing with digital art is that it's digital and people expect a lot more from that for some reason. I think just that expectation of it just has to look perfect, you know, because it's digital. So when, for example, if I post a digital sketch that's really kind of rough and kind of, or let's say I post a photo of me doing a work in progress on my iPad, right? That photo does not get a lot of likes. People want to see the finished product when it's digital. However, if I'm posting a photo of me like this, like with a sketchbook, with a pen, with this drawing in progress, people are going to give it a lot more likes, because I don't know, there's just something about physical drawings, physical paintings, sketchbooks that get people really excited, and they're a lot more interested, which kind of just hints at the nature of, you know, that physical art is probably still a lot more important to people and to perception, I would say, than digital art. And I don't know how or why, but it is. I guess because we're so used to seeing digital content, that seeing hand-drawn things, handmade things, we really appreciate them a lot more, which is nice, it's good. But yeah, I guess also anyone could Photoshop or pretend that they've drawn something digitally, but actually drawing something physically takes a bit more skill. I won't say talent, because I do think anyone can draw if they put in the effort and if they want to learn, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's why I restarted, or I started a new Instagram page, because I really miss doing urban sketching. And the thing with Instagram is that it gives me the motivation to actually draw, because I have a reason to draw, right? Like, it's not just going to stay in my sketchbook. And I mean, I really admire people who just draw for the sake of drawing, and they don't feel the need to validate themselves through Instagram. But, you know, I think just growing up in an Asian household, you kind of feel like everything you do has to be meaningful, and not meaningful in the nice, spiritually sappy sense, but meaningful in the sense of, will this make you money or not? And drawing in a sketchbook all day is not going to make you money, but posting it on Instagram, potentially, you know, making TikTok videos, making YouTube videos, those are potentials to grow. Okay, cool. So we've got the details. I'm quite happy with this, even though one of my goals with urban sketching is to be more neat. If you look at Luke Adam Hawker's drawings, they're very neat, even though he has so many lines, and it looks, the process that he uses is quite quote-unquote messy, because he draws like a bunch of lines, but at the end of the day you zoom out and it looks super neat. And then there are obviously other urban sketchers who just, like, their lines are so neat, and I don't know how they do it without a pencil sketch. Like, they just start with a pen and their lines are just super neat. I don't know, I don't get it, because I can't do that. But anyways, so what I'm going to do now, I have this brush pen. Let's see if I can show you. Again, also Uniball brush pen. I also really like this pen because it's kind of basically like a felt tip. Let's see if you can see that. Oh, I have to just, yeah, okay, cool. You have this felt tip nib kind of thing, which I quite like, because a lot of brush pens, the control can be kind of hard, because the nib is different. Like, this one's a lot more controlled. Some of you may get that, some of you may not, that's fine. Okay, what I'm going to do now is, because this is quite a thick line, so let me show you. As you can see, quite thick. So you can see the contrast is quite great between the thinner lines and the thick line of this brush pen, and that's exactly what I wanted. You could argue that these lines are kind of taking away focus on the drawing, but if I keep it simple, which is what I'm hoping to do, then yeah. Okay, that perspective is ridiculously bad, but it's okay, whatever. I'm like under pressure because of this, because of the camera, but it's okay. It's okay. How many times have I said it's okay in this video? I wonder. Is this even interesting? I don't know. Is there anyone who's even got to the end of this? Actually, let's make this. I should have made this also like a... Okay, I've overdone this at this point. But anyway, let's just put a... You know what I'm going to do, actually? Let's do something. Let's try something. Let me get a black marker pen. Where is my black marker pen? Right, so I've got this Winsor & Newton brush marker. These are really good, quite expensive, but for an architecture student, they are amazing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to really play up the contrast of black and white, and I'm going to use the brush. So there's two sides to this pen. There's a nib, like a brush pen side of it, and then there is a chisel marker side to it. So this is good for, like, this nib is good for large areas, so technically it's good for this drawing, but it's a lot more satisfying and controlling to draw with the brush pen, to colour in with the brush pen, should I say. You can control it better. Okay, actually let me try with this, because the problem with the brush pen side is it runs out quite fast, so let's try. Oofed. Look at that line. Okay, I'm just gonna tilt the drawing so it's a bit more easier to draw. To colour in, should I say. I'm gonna fully colour in, because... Oh, you know what would have been nice? If I left like a border around it. That would have been nice. And then coloured it in. I'm kind of just going with the flow here. Even though I've been sketching for a long time, by no means am I some kind of, I might just leave a border on some bits. By no means am I an expert, and I am learning still a lot. Like, I seriously have so much to learn, but I've definitely improved, and it's really nice to see that improvement, even though I've not been drawing like consistently, because I went to digital art for quite a while and I kind of left urban sketching on the side. But yeah. Do I wish I'd drawn consistently? Yes. But it's okay. It's okay. Maybe that should be my catchphrase. See what's happening as I'm colouring in with a black felt tip? It's really giving a good sense of contrast. You know what would be good if I compiled all the tips that I say in this video into one video and then repost that as a new YouTube video. That is a really smart idea. I might just do that actually, so I can save 1 week of filming a video. Yeah, filming YouTube videos is hard. I don't know how people make such aesthetic videos. Like, really, it takes so much time and effort. Like, editing is fine, but filming is like the worst, honestly. I'm so lazy to film. I don't know if I should colour in the whole thing or if I should leave some sky, or you know what? Let me see. Let me get another marker pen. Oops. Okay, let me get, let's see. I have this massive bag of felt tips. What's a good colour? This yellow is kind of screaming at me. And yes, these are children's marker pens. Actually, let's get a highlighter. I also have a highlighter. This is going to be a lot better. Let's see. Yeah, perfect. It's also got that chisel tip that this pen has, so that's nice. I'm basically just going to colour around the edges. Why am I doing this? I don't know. It's what I feel like. And I think when you're doing art, the more you do art, the more you learn to rely on your intuition to make art, and that's how you get better, I think. Combination of improving your skills and improving your response to your intuition. That's how you get better. This is a really long video, isn't it? Oh my goodness, I have to wrap this up soon. I could talk for ages, honestly. But the only thing that's making me feel better is the fact that I would love, like, I love 1 hour videos of people making art, because then I can just put that in the background. Especially if it's someone who I enjoy them talking. So mainly I'm talking about Minnie Small. I just love her videos, her drawing videos. I wish she'd make more of them. She has a really nice voice and she has just a really calming presence, so it's nice. I don't know, I'm kind of thinking I should maybe put different colours here. It would be nice to fill it with black, but I think it's too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use, this is my brush marker pencil case. I think I'm just going to use, I would have put blue, but I think it's too much colour. And as architects, we do not like colour. Shall I say architecture students, but architects as well. I'm not an architect, by the way. Because in the UK, you do not qualify as an architect if you've just done your bachelor's, because unlike the rest of the world, the UK has split their architecture degrees, so it's 3 years in bachelor's and 2 years in master's, and then that equals the 5 years that you need to be an architect. So I cannot call myself an architect because I've not done my master's degree, nor do I plan to. 3 years is enough. So this one is quite scratchy, this pen. I really don't like the kind of marks that you can see. Like, I'd much prefer if it's like a bit more cohesive, but whatever. That's also the beauty of marker pen, in a way. Oh no, I've ruined some of the pink edges. It's okay. See, this is the beauty of art. Like, I never expected that I would have a pink outline on my drawing, but I love it. I think it's great. I just wish I was a bit more neat. Seriously. Whew. Oh, and I'll just fill this pen. So now I'm using this bit, the brush bit. I'm just going to cover up some details that I sketched in earlier, because it doesn't add to anything. It's really satisfying to use this tip. Ah, wow, I did it. I did it. This is kind of annoying, but whatever. Whatever, it's okay. I don't think I achieved my goal of achieving a lot of contrast within the actual structure itself, but I did get a pretty cool drawing. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next week for another video on this YouTube channel. Bye.